Welcome back to the Disney Plus Saturday Challenge, and today we have Mary Poppins Returns. This is obviously the sequel, something like 50 years later or something, from the original Mary Poppins in 1964. It is directed by Rob Marshall. He's even charged of, I think, the choreography as well. He's part of that. It stars Emily Blunt. By the way, this is from 2018. It does not feel like it was that long ago, but apparently it was. It also stars Lin-Manuel Miranda as Jack. She's Mary Poppins. It's 2018. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes, but honestly, the last 19 minutes are credits. Not kidding. 19 minutes of credits. The foreign credits take up 12 of that. So you want to hear it all the way through the regular credits? Well, you just chop 12 off 22, and you get 2 hours and 10 minutes. And yeah, there you go. There's nothing after the credits, so you don't have to worry about it. It's not a Marvel film. It is Mary Poppins Returns. And what is she returning for? Well, it's technically Mary Poppins of the Next Generation. She has returned to the Banks family at a time in great need, and it's no longer the Banks family we know. It's the Next Generation. Parents have since passed away. Michael is living in that same house, 17 Cherry Tree Lane or something like that. Michael's still living in that house with 3 children of his own. Jane, his sister, has come to visit as we've suddenly are introduced to each one of these characters as adults. And they got a maid running about trying to keep things in control. Everything's just a little bit out of control. But the kids are helpful. They're responsible. They're smart. And they kind of have to be. They kind of had to grow up a little bit fast because a little bit of tragedy. And I'm not telling you everything about this, so don't worry. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to spoil the big parts. I'm just giving you an introduction. The kids, Michael has lost his wife in the previous year. It's still fresh, but they're powering through. Things have slipped by the wayside, and where we find them soon after the start of the film is getting an eviction notice nailed to their door. What are you going to do? He works for the very bank that's about to kick him out. Can he plead his case? Maybe. Can he find? He must have like a deed or something. Like, not a deed, but like his shares. I think his father had shares. Maybe those shares could be passed down. Were passed down to him. He just needs to find them. I don't know. But as chaos ensues and everything's starting to get out of control, a certain well-used kite helps bring Mary Poppins back into their lives at the time they need her most, whether they know it or not. Kids don't know who she is. Apparently, Dad and Jane had never told them about Mary Poppins. But at the same time, Michael and Jane don't seem particularly clear that anything that they experienced as children ever happened. At least it's something they imagined, maybe. Is that the case? Could she just be a charlatan? Could she somebody just they have fond memories of, but none of that really happened? Don't know. That's where we find ourselves in this story. We have, like I said, we have Emily Blunt, we have Lin-Manuel Miranda playing Jack, the apprentice of Bert, played by Dick Van Dyke in the original film. And he's a lamplighter, by the way, not a chimney sweep. And of course, yes, I'm gonna spoil this. You're getting a big dance sequence with the lamplighters, complete with bicycles just zipping everywhere. Yeah, there's a little bit of stunt biking. That's the only thing that made me think this feels like it should be part of Rad or some sort of BMX movie at some point, but we'll live with it. The core of this is the great, it holds on to the spirit of the original film. And I know it's, for many people, to even think of remaking or making a sequel to such a beloved film is sacrilege. It is blasphemous. It's something you do not do. But when you get talent like this, when you have Emily Blunt, who possibly couldn't have been better cast, she's got that rebellious, mischievous spirit. You know who she is. You've seen her in all sorts of stuff. I think she loves fart jokes. I'm pretty sure Mary Poppins doesn't. But we've seen her in like Jungle Cruise and other action films, and just she can do it all. She's the Quiet Place. She can do it all. And but she's also at the same time a very refined English lady. And that's what Mary Poppins is. She is an agent of chaos in a very refined, controlled, lovely package. And everybody's enchanted by her. Everybody knows her. And everywhere she goes, she creates change, and she entertains and gives joy back to whoever is around her. So yeah, the musical numbers are huge, and they can do things now, of course, with special effects, visual effects, that they could not do in 1964, and that's okay. Honestly, if they had a chance to use the tools today that they had today back in 1964, you know they were going to do it. You know they would do it. It's not a question. It's just painting with a different paintbrush. And yes, there is 3D animation sequence stuff that might just, again, feel like sacrilege. But at the same time, there's also 2D animation style. I imagine they did this digitally. They didn't do it like hand drawing each cell. They didn't do that, more than likely. If they did, awesome. But there's enough in this animation-wise that it flows from 3D to 2D and everywhere in between. It sort of mixes a number of things together that at some point you're not sure if you're looking at an animated object that people are handling, like a carriage wheel, that might be real, but it looks like it's a two-dimensional drawing that could have been enhanced with 3D digital effects. You don't know. It's a great mixture and use of the technology. So if you're worried that it's going to look too much like a video game, it won't. It doesn't. There are moments you might say that, but it's not. The spirit of the visual effects and the combination of live action and animation, perfect. Just, it's great. I'm going to say this a lot of times. It holds onto the spirit of the original. The music, which was consulted on by Richard Sherman, who passed away earlier this year. One of the Sherman brothers, between him and Bob, that's what I like to call him, who had passed away 12 years prior to this year, to his brother. Still, it's their imprint is felt throughout this. I mean, a lot of the just rollicking, just music of that era just flows through it. It's the blood that flows through all of this, and it's unmistakable. Yeah, they're not behind the piano. That's okay. But we get Lin-Manuel Miranda, who obviously he knows his music. In fact, he's the one who introduces us back into the world of Mary Poppins and the Banks family through a bicycle ride through the park, and singing a song that, believe it or not, Lin-Manuel Miranda did not write lyrics or music to. So we get he's our introduction. He's the first song we get, and he brings us right to the front door of the house. So from there on, we get the family's got some problems to take care of. And who can come and save the day? Well, somebody dressed in red and blue. It ain't Superman. No, it's Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins. It has that kind of frustrating, vague way of saying, I'm here, deal with it. Am I going to fix your problems? I don't know, probably. The kids don't know who she is. Michael and Jane seem to have forgotten fully. So, but Jack remembers. Jack holds on to that. He was an apprentice of Bert, and holds on to that kind of magic. And he's a co-conspirator in all the big musical numbers. Obviously, Lin-Manuel had to write at least one or two songs in this. I'm sure he had a big part in the dancing. Hamilton, guys, he probably had a big part in coordinating a lot of that too as well. But it's it's pretty fantastic. There's a number of actors in this that I will not spoil, but you'll recognize. Let's see, Ben Whishaw is Michael Banks. Jane is played by Emily Mortimer, and Colin Firth. Colin Firth makes an impactful character. Jeremy Swift, you'll recognize from Ted Lasso. He's in this as well. Small part, but you can't miss him if you're a Ted Lasso fan. There are 3 actors I will not tell you the identities of right now because they are meant to be a surprise when you see the film. If you know actors and musicals, and if you know, if you have an appreciation and understanding, one of the actors is a modern icon that you may not recognize her at first, but you will eventually. She plays a character that even frustrates Mary Poppins because she's family. And she even gets a big musical number. There is a iconic classic actress that plays a small part toward the end of the film, and I'm not going to give her away. And then there's also a third hugely important character that has a cameo toward the end as well. That I'm not going to spoil that. I'm not going to spoil who they are or what they play, but yeah, it's meant to bring joy and a whole lot of nostalgia to anybody who loves Mary Poppins, and it's going to be there. So you can't. It's even if the rest of the film doesn't do anything for you, that moment should bring some joy to your heart, because that's just the way it rolls. Like I said, big, colorful, well choreographed, just able to do things, obviously with the technology of today, that they could not do in 1964, and it works. It works. I don't know how much else I can say. I mentioned the music, I mentioned the effects, I mentioned the actors. Is it going to be my favorite movie of all time? No, but it's entertaining on every level. Whatever you're into finding in this, you're gonna find it. I think it's a worthy follow-up. There's a lot of ways you can screw up sequels or remakes and things like that, and thank God they didn't make a remake. And someday somebody's going to make a remake of Mary Poppins. It's going to be set in 2001, and it's going to be made 70 years from now, and they're going to look back on this, and it's just going to be it'll be a mess, and we won't appreciate it. But maybe the people at that time will go, "Oh, this is such a unique and creative thing. Oh, it's based on another movie. It was based on a book by a woman who really didn't want to make a Disney movie. Well, this sounds great." So you never know. But in this case, when they made a sequel, they hewed really close to what made the original good and put their own spin on it to a certain degree. You can't, even though she might be somehow connected to Doctor Who, I think the Doctor made a reference to this character at some point. I can't remember, or maybe just nerds are just making this stuff up. They're like, oh yeah, she's probably a Time Lord. Who knows? I don't know. Or maybe she's an incarnation of the Doctor we know. Who knows? Because the Doctor, he does big and small things. I shouldn't say they, because they're not just men anymore. So yeah, you never know. But she shows up at the right time. That's what's important. But I don't know how I got in this thread. Am I still talking about the cousin? It doesn't matter. It's worth checking out. Definitely. I'd say watch the original right before you watch this. Make a night of it, or a weekend, or whatever. Just to remind you, and I think you'll be able to pick up more on so many of the little Easter eggs that are thrown throughout this. And it should not turn off Mary Poppins fans. I know that some people are purists, they're hardcore, and they're not going to allow anything else to be a sacrilege upon the original Julie Andrews performance or the music or anything else. I get that. But this is just the way it is. You're gonna get sequels because Disney likes making money, and thankfully in this case they did a really good job at casting and just constructing. It sounds very clinical, but constructing a storyline with a little bit more action, believe it or not, and a little bit more, and all the big musical numbers you expect. And she's just charming as heck. So I say let's pick tomorrow's episode, see where this kite takes us. 258. This is toward the bottom of the list. I have a feeling I know what this is probably going to be. Oh no, I don't. 258 is a short, but it is a classic. It's like Silly Symphony. It's from 1936. Yeah. Talking about classics. This is going to be Three Blind Mouseketeers. Yeah. All right. Well, that's an easy to do for tomorrow. Three Blind Mouseketeers, a 1936 Silly Symphony on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.